Hello, everyone. We are starting our webinar on parallel execution of tests using Rapise and SpiraTest. With this webinar, we are closing our 2021 season. My name is Denis, and I am one of the developers of Rapise test automation tool. Here is some information about me. So let's get started. The agenda for today. So first we'll talk about what kind of tests Rapise can run in parallel. So not every test can be suitable for parallel run. Then we will run test cases included into test set in parallel. Then we will define different configurations and run tests in parallel using different configurations. And then we will run everything in parallel. So it will be a new feature of Rapise 7.2. And we are planning to release it in the beginning of February, but we already can show this feature to you. Also, the new feature, the highlights of Rapise 7.2 is a test metrics, and I'll give some overview of test metrics here. Then we'll configure and do headless execution, parallel headless execution. And also one more feature available in Rapise 7.2. I'll show how to automatically load web drivers to execute Rapise tests using Selenium web driver. So let's get started. So prerequisites for parallel execution. For parallel execution, you may use tests that are either web and they are executed using Selenium web driver. So if you can execute them using web driver, then they are ready for parallel execution. So they should not use things like global do's and keys or something like that. So they should not emulate mouse and keyboard on the hardware level. So if you're using Selenium, then definitely you are not using this. Also, Rapise can run in parallel mobile tests and web service API tests. So if you are testing REST or SOAP service, then you can run all those tests in parallel. So let's see what to do to configure parallel execution. So now I will show you what changes you need to do to test cases and what changes you need to do with test sets. So you will need to configure some custom properties for test cases and test sets. So now I will minimize my presentation, and here is Rapise. Here I have a sample framework. And in this framework, I have 5 test cases implemented. Those test cases are testing library information system demo application that we frequently show in our demos. And these test cases are configured to use Selenium web driver. And they are already linked to test cases in Spira. So to be able to run those test cases in parallel, first we need to make sure that we mark them as ready for parallel run. So I will go to test cases, and here I will expand my test cases. For example, view author. This is a Spira dashboard that we introduced in Rapise 7. So let me scroll it down. And here we have now 2 properties, flaky and ready for parallel run. And for this test case, I have this flag selected. So you should prove that you are sure that this test is independent and using Selenium, and you can run it in parallel. So let me collapse its properties. And in Rapise 7.1, you don't have it, but in 7.2, you will have this decoration icon. So if you see it, those parallel lines, if you see it on a test case, it means that it is ready for parallel run. So my 5 test cases are ready for parallel run. So you can see it here. So let's now move to test sets. And here I have a test set, which is called all browsers. Let me expand its details here. So my test cases are included. Here I also can see that they are ready for parallel run. So if you will forget to set that test case is ready for parallel run, Rapise launcher will just execute everything sequentially. So it will still work, but it will not run in parallel. So let's scroll down to the properties of this test set. And here, to do parallel execution, you need to find run tests in parallel and set it to true. So here you can change the value. Also, you have a control of how many tests you want to execute in parallel. So this number may depend on the hardware capacity of your machine. So if it is a weak one, then maybe better to limit the number of parallel tests here. But if your machine is powerful enough, then you may leave 0 here. It means that Rapise launcher will try its best to run as many tests as possible in parallel. So I have these settings here, and I am now ready to run these tests in parallel. So I can do it right from the dashboard. So, and first let's see what our execution will be. It should execute on the Chrome browser. So by the way, this is the user.js file, which is included in all the test cases here. It is used by all the test cases in this testing framework. And if we do not provide global browser profile variable with the settings of our test set, then the default profile will be Selenium Chrome. So if I will now execute my test set, then it will run in parallel in Chrome. Yeah, so now it is working, and we should see 5 Chromes running in parallel. And with the Rapise launcher in 7.2, you also may see some progress of what is happening. So let me bring it to the front. And you may see what Rapise launcher is doing. If it is cloning Git repository or downloading files from Spira, then you will see the progress here at the bottom of Rapise launcher. So when all files are downloaded, then here you may see the progress of execution. So this is additional visibility that we added to Rapise launcher in 7.2. So, and all tests are passed, and we can see that Rapise launcher uploading results. And now we can go to test runs and see the results of execution. I can filter by tag, and here we can see the executions of the last test set that we executed. Here we can see that we executed 5-hour tests using Chrome browser. So now if you want to run this in several browsers, then we need to do something. So by the way, let me return to the presentation. And so this is what we did right now. So we had a few test cases and we executed them in parallel. So now this is what I'm going to do. So we'll have 2 browsers, and we will execute test cases in parallel on Chrome first, and then in parallel on Firefox. So to do this, I simply need to go to my test set, expand its details, and this is my browser CSV. And here I will simply add Selenium Firefox and save the result. And now I'm ready to run this into browsers in parallel. So let's do this. So first we will see Chrome and then Firefox. By the way, Selenium Chrome and Selenium Firefox, these are names of the profiles, of web profiles defined in this testing framework. So while it is running, we may go to the folder of this testing framework. Let's reveal in Explorer. Okay, here we go. And here we have the profiles, folders, Selenium profiles, and these are the profiles that we may use with this framework. So here is the Firefox and Chrome, and if it is Selenium, then when we are defining a global variable that defines the profile, we need to use Selenium dash prefix. Also here we have Headless, and I will show it later. So let's see what's happening. Chrome execution completed. And now we should see some Firefoxes appearing on the screen. So this is their virtual machine that has just a couple of cores. So we do not expect very good performance of parallel execution. But anyway, it will be faster than running these tests sequentially. And again, before running tests in parallel, you need to make sure that you may run them sequentially. All those tests are independent, they are reliable. So when this is true, then you may proceed to parallel execution. So let's see, execution has been completed. Now we can switch to test runs. And I will filter by the last execution. So here you can see that Chrome 5 times, so first 5 runs were on Chrome, then on Firefox. And now I'm going to show the new feature that also will be part of Rapise 7.2. It is called test metrics. So I may right click any of these test runs and choose test metrics. And Rapise switches to test metrics page. This is a new page in Spire dashboard. And here you can see the metrics. We see in the first column name, we see the names of our test cases. And then for every line in our input file, input data file where we define configurations, we will have the column. And if in this file we have more than one column, the first column will be displayed here by default. If there are more columns, then we may choose them here in the dropdown. I just don't have any more columns. And in this test metrics, you can see individual results for example, running create new book on Chrome. So we know it's passed. View authors on Firefox, it's passed. If there are failures, then we will see some red bricks in this test metrics. Also, if we click on some test case and select it here, then we will see the history of execution for this test case. So we may see when the first execution was done, when the last execution was done. By the color, we can see the result of execution. Also, if we move mouse over there, one of the execution, we can see some details about why it failed. So it may be handy. And also, if we click on it, then it's clickable. Then it will open the result. Let me log in. It will show us this test run. So I just need to provide the password. So here we go, and we can see the report. So, and we may find out why it did not work. Okay, let me close it. So what's next? So we executed in parallel on Chrome, then in parallel on Firefox. And the next thing is, this is the feature of 7.2. We may try to execute as much as possible test cases in parallel. So Chrome and Firefox and other browsers. So to do this, to run this in parallel, we need to set one more flag for our test set. So I'm switching to test sets, expanding properties here, and scrolling it down. And the property that I need to set, it is called unroll input data for parallel execution. So it means that all data lines defined in our input file, data input file, will be executed in parallel for all the test cases. So I will set the checkbox and I will run it again. And we will see Chromes and Firefoxes appearing in parallel in this case. So it takes some time to initialize. And right now we see all the browsers blinking, appearing on the screen. So maybe it's not a good option for parallel execution. If it is on the remote machine, for example, in Azure DevOps or some server that you are using for nightly tests, this is fine. But if you want to quickly run something on your machine where you are developing your tests, then definitely it makes sense to configure headless execution. And once this execution is complete, I will show how to do this. Now, execution is in progress. So while it is running, actually, let me show you where to get the information about how to configure headless execution. So I will go to my Chrome, and I will go to Inflectra knowledge base. And here I will simply search for headless. And here we have two articles, headless execution in Chrome and in Firefox. So let's review what we need to do for Chrome. For Chrome, in our Selenium profile, we simply need to provide additional arguments to Chrome. So there is a Chrome specific section here, arguments. And if we will provide this array of values, then Selenium will run Chrome in headless mode. And let's search for headless again. And for Firefox, it's pretty much the same. So there are Firefox specific arguments. And here we need to provide the different value. But when we configure this, Firefox will be executed in headless mode. And when you're running in headless mode, if you are taking screenshots, these kind of things, then screenshots are also working if it is a headless mode. So in the report, you will see all these screenshots. So let me minimize this. Execution is complete. We can go to test runs again. Filter by tag, the last execution, and here you may see that Chrome and Firefox, they are arbitrary order, it means that they were running in parallel. Again, we can do test matrix and see this table of execution. Okay, let's do headless execution then. So I will go to test sets again, expand properties of all browsers. And here I have another data file. So this one is for browsers that show the UI from Firefox. And this one that I created, it is for headless profiles. If we will go to Selenium settings, then here you may see that I have headless profile for Firefox. And this is the argument described in the knowledge base article. And Chrome headless is here. And this is the same for Chrome. So we're just passing those arguments. Let me close it. So you may have more of these input data files while you are developing your test coverage. And it's very easy to create this file. So you may simply expand this and choose create new, or right click and choose create new. So you may specify the value here. For example, I want to run everything on Chrome. So Chrome. And here I need to specify the variable. I just don't remember its name. Oh, it should be here in user.js. Here we go. It should define the column. And here we will specify our profile, Selenium Chrome. Okay, so now if you want to, I just need to, I didn't provide the extension, but yeah, let's create another one. Create new from CSV. So it should be CSV or XLS file. Selenium Chrome. Okay, and now here we may choose the data file with parameters that we want to use to control our execution. So here I will choose browsers headless and execute my tests. And we will see that Rapise launcher is doing something. Test set execution is in progress, but we don't see any browsers on the screen. So we can move our Rapise launcher somewhere, and we can minimize Rapise, and we can do something while our tests are executed. So when the execution is complete, then Rapise launcher will automatically close. And this is true when we are executing on local machine, but we can also execute our test set on demand on some host in our environment that also has Rapise installed. So execution is in progress. And while it is running, let me check our agenda. So we talked about headless execution already. This is what is happening at the moment. And the last new feature of Rapise 7.2, which is coming, is we finally implemented automatic loading of WebDrivers. So if you use Rapise and executed tests using Selenium, then you probably know that you need to download Chrome driver or Gecko driver from a website and put those files into a bin folder of Rapise. It was kind of a problem, so not very convenient. And we changed that. And there are now two ways how you may download the required version of those web drivers to do local execution of Selenium tests on the machine where Rapise is installed. So let me minimize this. Oh, execution is completed. We can go to test runs. Here is the execution. We may see that Headless execution was actually faster than the one with the browsers with the UI. So here you can see in the details that the value of the parameters that we passed for a specific test run. And looking at the test matrix, here is the result. So let's see how we can automatically download Chrome driver, Gecko driver, so to do Selenium execution using Selenium. So let's go to Selenium profiles section here, and let's do test. So if we have a profile, we configured all the capabilities, and we want to test if Rapise can launch the browser and connect to it through the web driver. So check-in test, Chrome appeared, and it says successfully connected to Chrome. And now if we will go to C drive, program data, Inflectra, Rapise, here we have a subfolder Selenium drivers, which is created automatically by Rapise installation. And here I already have drivers downloaded. So let me delete them. And if I will click on the test button again, so it will say that Chrome driver is not found. And if I want to download it automatically, if I will click yes, then Rapise will determine the version of Chrome installed on the machine and will download the required Chrome driver exe. So if you ever tested using Chrome and Selenium, you know that with almost every version of Chrome, they release a new version of Chrome driver exe, and you need to update it every time the new version of Chrome appears on your machine. So I'm clicking yes here. So driver downloaded, Chrome connection is successful. If we go back to Selenium drivers, here we can see that Chrome driver exe is here. And the same works for Firefox. So clicking on test, yes, and it should download Gecko driver as well. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, Gecko driver is also here. Rapise can automatically download Chrome driver for Chrome testing, Gecko driver for Firefox, IE driver server to test on old IE 11, and also Microsoft Web Driver or MSH driver. This is to test on Edge, modern Microsoft browser. If you want to, so here we did this, we clicked this test button manually, but what if we want our testing framework, if we put it on some new machine, we of course wanted to download those executables automatically if they are missing. So if you're running in Azure DevOps or something like that, those executables are already there, and then probably you don't need to bother about this. But if you are using your own configured virtual machine, that they may be without those web drivers out of the box. So to explain our framework to download these files automatically, we need to do this thing. So let me go to user.js file. And here I have a test init. So this is the function that is executed before every test. And I now have here just 3 lines. So to work in Rapise 7.2 and 7.1. So in Rapise 7.2, WebDriver has this download driver method. So if you have, you may place WebDriver download driver into test init, and it will do the trick. It will know what profile, Selenium profile we are using. It will determine the type of the browser and will download the necessary executable to a local machine. If this executable is already there, then no download will occur. So it will not download executables every time. Okay, so these are new features that will be available in 7.2. But parallel execution, you can do it in 7.1 as well, except this thing. So you can, in 7.1, you may run in parallel on Chrome, then on Firefox. In 7.2, you can also do everything in parallel. Also, if you are configuring your test set and you do not see some of these properties here in the Spira dashboard, then you need to go to the main page of the Spira dashboard, find this Create Custom Properties button, and click on it, and provide the API key for administrator, and Rapise will create those custom properties automatically, and you will need to do this per project. So for every project or product in Spira, you need to add these custom properties. And those custom properties will help Rapise to do advanced things using Spira and Rapise launcher. So I think that I showed everything I wanted to show today. Thanks everyone for attending. Have a happy new year, good holidays. Take care. Bye-bye.